Hey, Xiomy here. So today I wanted to do a video where I just say that maybe, possibly I might be back. I just needed a break because, my mental health wasn't all that great and I was like, I need to slow down and just take it easy, and that's what I did. But I wanted to do a video where I give you like a life update. I'm also going to be giving you my October wrap up, my November reads, because I'm deciding on switching or at least having two parts to my November read, because hopefully I'm on a roll, which I'm patting myself on the shoulder, and I hope that I continue with it because I've been procrastinating way too much. Few interesting things that I have in mind, and also just in case if you hear the neighbors, they have a family gathering. We Puerto Ricans tend to be loud, so if you hear any loud noises, any yelling in particular, it's because of them. So I'm just gonna forewarn you, and I apologize beforehand just in case. But without further ado, let's get into this video. The first two things that I want to speak about are like a little bit of a life update. Like I said, I took a break because I really needed it. The month of October is one of the busiest months for me, but I also, this is when, I got an epiphany, and, I got a realization of a lot of things. I started, or I plunged into my writing. I'm currently outlining. This is something that I've always wanted to do. I recently just found the papers of a high fantasy that I wanted to write like a while ago. I did not find the structure, like the writing per se, because I completely lost that, but the characters, the map of the world that I had was something that really brought joy to me, and I was like, you know what, let me delve into this because I need to start. If I don't start now, I'm never gonna start. Live a life worth fighting for. That's something that Katie Grant says, and I'm currently living by that because I'm currently rereading those books and I'm just loving her and every other character. But I'm just really content with what I'm doing. It's funny how little words can spark so much information and so much world building. And I just put a word in a thesaurus and there's so many things that came to my mind. So I'm really enjoying, what I'm doing right now, because I am outlining. I need to have a feel of these characters. I need to have a feel of this world, because I am going to go on the routes of high fantasy. It is what I know, it is what I love, and I'm just living for this situation and these moments that I'm just experiencing this, and I'm just content. I can't say anything more, but like going into this process and like watching videos from authors on booktube, and also reading a lot of documents, and just enjoying the things or the fact of these characters or these authors, how they spark their writing, and how they're given little bits of tips and tricks to help you perfect your writing. And this is something that I want to know. Right now I'm just writing for me. I'm writing to get a feel of it. I'm writing to get a sense of it, because it's something that I really am rooting for and hoping that it comes out great. So like right now I have a lot of names, especially of characters. I have situations and dialogues that I have written, because if not, I know that I'm gonna forget. But I have a lot of things that I'm outlining, and I'm really excited for this. I just can't wait to see where else I go with this story. So I am gonna start doing videos aside from my writing, so stay tuned for those pretty soon. Not right now because I'm still like getting the feel of it, but hopefully for January I'm gonna start kicking this in. I also want to host a readathon. This is something that I have been thinking about for a couple of days, and I just said, you know what, let me just say it, because if I don't say it, it won't become true. So I also wrote it because I need it to become true. If I write things, if I say things, I'm making a commitment to actually do these things. So that's what I want to do. And the readathon is going to be for the Witchland novels. I don't care if I'm the only one participating, but I think that this is such an underrated series that I want to give it all the love that it deserves. Truth Witch, Wind Witch, and the novella Sight Witch. And I'm thinking about having it in the month of January because Blood Witch comes out in February, and Blood Witch is one of my highly anticipated releases for 2019, and I am freaking out. I cannot wait for the release of this book. So, I'm thinking about a readathon because I do want to reread all these books. And like I said, I don't care if I'm the only one that participates. I'm also thinking about having a giveaway, meshed into this readathon. So we'll see how that goes. I'm working out the kinks. So hopefully by the month of December, I'm going to have everything planned out, and I'm going to just release the video. Because like I said, if I don't do it, if I don't say it, I'm not going to feel a commitment for it. So those are the two things that I'm really excited for. So yay. But aside from that, let's just get into my October wrap up. Now, I have to admit that the month of October is a busy ass month for me. Last year I only read one book. And this year I read two and procrastinated throughout the entire month, and also read half of one, which I'm going to have a lot of things to say. I don't want to DNF it just because I love some of the characters. So that's the only reason why I haven't DNF'd it. And I don't feel like I want to DNF it. I just feel like I want to, read little bits by little bits, like chunks of it, you know, until like I actually like finish it. But the first book that I want to speak about is one that I think that I spoke about in the end of my September wrap up, and that is Wild Beauty by Anne-Marie McLemore. I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. Unfortunately, the cover is beautiful, but the inside falls completely fat to what's fat? Did I say fat? I did. I think I said fat. It falls completely flat to the beauty of the outside. It's just like, this is a magical realism. If you don't know anything about Wild Beauty is the fact that we have no me olvides women who, if they fall in love with somebody by them being in la pradera, which is a sentient garden, then these people that they love disappear. One day, this guy named Fel appears in the garden and everything kicks in based on that notion. Unfortunately, all the details in the beginning were somewhat interesting, even though I was completely lost in the beginning, because we have all these no me olvides women and they're falling in love with the same women. So we do have a female on female romance happening. Unfortunately, it eventually, you know, develops, but it is from a side character, and I wanted it to be based on my main character, which we didn't get it. We did get a bi representation, but still I was like, I also thought that the romance was forced between 2 specific characters, so I wasn't rooting for it. So, you know, that's just something completely different. But like, what I can say is that I was just confused in the beginning, and I was like, wow, because you're thrusted into the information and little by little you get to know a little bit more about it. But the writing of this book is completely slow. Like, it has a slow ass pace. So bear that in mind if you're going to read this book, because like, there are so many characters also that you don't know who's who. You're trying, I honestly had to write them down, because I was like, okay, who are you? There are so many characters. The only thing I know about them is that they have dark skin and they have dark hair. Or was it, they had brown skin and dark hair? That's how they were described. None of these characters were memorable. I didn't connect with any of them. I thought that some were interesting, but over the course of the book, everything just fell flat. I have to admit that the only thing that I really did enjoy was La Pradera as a sentient being, because it is their antagonist. It is the one thing that's holding them there. And, you know, I wanted to reach the end, because I was like, you know what, let me just see how is it that it ends, because I want to see how this is resolved. Unfortunately, that fell flat. It wasn't jaw-dropping. It was just like, oh, okay, that's how it gets settled. Well, you know what, it was a waste of time. So those were my feelings towards this book. I really didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was gonna enjoy it, and it was disappointing, because I really wanted to love this book. Unfortunately, it didn't hook me as much as I wanted to hook me. And like I said, there were some things that I was just rolling my eyes over, and I couldn't feel any of the characters. I didn't care for the romance. And also, you know, even though, like I said, the female on female romance would have been nice, it was something from the side characters. And I really do have to admit that the feminist vibes in this book is really good. Unfortunately, everything else just falls flat. I wasn't really enjoying it. So the next book that I decided to pick up, and I think this was a part of the Spookathon, I completely failed that readathon. It's funny because I was like, it's Thursday, you have time to, you know, read a couple of books. And I was like, wait, it's Thursday. Woman, you have no time to read any more books. What is wrong with you? So I completely failed that readathon, but I managed to eventually finish the book. And the book that I'm going to say is one that is completely out of my comfort zone, but oh my god, did I freaking enjoy it. And that is The Woman in the Window by AJ Finn. This is my first suspense psychological thriller that I read, and oh my god, was it sheer brilliance. And it is the only one I have ever read. So I am looking forward to reading more psychological suspense thrillers, because this one was amazing. I loved Anne Fox. I connected with her as a character. There are so many details and situations that are happening that I'm just empathizing with the main character. And The Woman in the Window is about Anne Fox, and she does suffer from agoraphobia. The fact is that you want to know how was it that she got into this situation, because you do know that she was, you know, a regular person just walking around the streets with her family. And once the whole situation is mentioned to you, and how, you know, how was it that she became, or she got into this situation, was something that was so tragic. And I cried. I have to admit that I cried. It was just sheer brilliance. Everything that's happening, and how one day, you know, she is a peeping Tom. Anne Fox is a peeping Tom. That's what I'm going to say. You know, in order for her, you know, to become less bored in her daily life, you know, she decides to stalk or watch all of her neighbors. And one day she gets intrigued by her new neighbors, and something happens, because she sees her neighbors kill a woman there. So, you know, it also plays into consideration, like, are they going to believe her because she does have mental problems? Is she really saying the things that she's supposed to say? Because there's so many things that are pointing to the fact that she might be lying, and I'm like, no, this can't be happening. So all those twists and turns that are happening are really intriguing, and this was a page turner for me. Like, I couldn't stop. There's even a moment that I honestly had to I had to close the book because I was scared. I am a yellow belly coward. So when that scene happened, I was glad that my little brother was watching TV with me, because he was watching TV and I was reading. And I was like, I'm so grateful that you're here with me right now, because I can't deal with this situation. It was just like, are you kidding me? I honestly, you know, dropped my jaw because I could not believe what was happening. You imagine hearing that voice and you're the only, oh, okay, I can't say it because I can't, but it was so interesting. The plot twists were just incredible. The story per se was amazing, and I'm honestly not here to judge how does a psychological suspense thriller work, because this is my first one. I'm just rating this on pure enjoyment and the fact that, you know, it hooked me from beginning to end. And like I said, this is a page turner. This was brilliant. This was fucking amazing, and I freaking enjoyed it, and I hope that more people read it because it is just that good. I do know that AJ Finn is going to be on my radar from now on. I'm going to be paying attention to everything that he writes, and I also cannot wait for the movie adaptation of this book. I think it's going to be freaking incredible because, oh my god, I also have to admit that a lot of movies came to my mind while I was reading this book, and like I think I forgot the names, but it's Flight Plan, if I'm not mistaken, and also The Good Child. Those two movies like came to mind. And also like Tony Donoso came to mind because we do have a lot of references to black and white movies. That's the one thing that I can say that I nitpick, because I've never watched a black and white movie. Can I say that it was something that I didn't enjoy? No, because now I really would like to watch a black and white movie. So yay for this one. This was, I'm still amazed by that book. Like I'm just loving it, you know? And the next book that I'm still currently, you know, trying to work my way through, I don't know why, but it's Strange of the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I have to admit that the writing is beautiful. It is atmospheric. The prose is just so gorgeous. I love everything about it. It makes you feel the world coming to life. And Laszlo, the first part, had me hungry for Laszlo. Laszlo is a scholar who is just a geek at heart, who loves to have his nose in books, and I just freaking fangirled for him. I love him so freaking much. Why have I not finished it? I have no idea. Like, let's be real, I honestly don't know. I do know that when the introduction of the Mesarthim, or the Abominations as they call them, because I don't know if that's the way how you pronounce it, Mesarthium, I don't know. I have to admit that some I understand, some I enjoy, but others, especially Soraya, I'm like, even though I get her, I'm at a point in my life where I get her, I'm still like, I don't care, you know, about her specifically, you know. There are also events and details that are stretching, and I'm like, get to the point. So those are the things that are hindering my experience of this book. And like I said, I'm not going to deny that this is a beautiful book. Unfortunately, there are some things that are dragging, that are taken away from my enjoyment, but I'm finishing this because I love Laszlo. Laszlo is such a beautiful character, and there are so many beautiful quotes from Laszlo. And also Minya is one that I want to know more of, because it has an interesting perspective. First of all, we get Laszlo's point of view, then we get Soraya's, and then throughout the entire other chunks of the book, we have just an introduction of all the characters and their points of views. Some, I'm going to say that there are some conceited ass little pricks in this one that I just want to punch, because I know you're going to do something that's going to F this all up, because I know it. And then we have Minya, who we got some information from, and I was like, oh man, I feel for you. But if they only knew, would they act differently? It's something that I would like to see the take on it. And also Ruby. Ruby is one horny little girl. She is crazy. I love her. I'm not going to deny that I love her. But that woman is a little bit freaky, you know? She got her freak on. But I adore these characters. Some more than others. Some I'm still like okay with, but I haven't connected with. And like I said, there are some moments in the story that I'm like, I could care less. Right now I'm at a point where I'm like, I don't care. Let's just get to the point. But I'm not DNFing it because I don't feel like I want to DNF it. I feel like I want to finish it. I feel like I want to take a pause and then get back into it. You know, stop, you know, put it aside for a few chunks, then go back into it. That's how I've been slowly but surely making my way through this entire book. If I would have had the audio, I think it would have been completely different, but I currently don't have it. I can't find it, so eventually I'll hear it in audiobook. I don't know if Muse of Nightmare I'm going to hear it in audiobook, but we'll see. I just want to see what else is going to happen in this story. But I'll update you in my second part of my wrap up with this one, because I don't know what I'm going to say for that one. But right now what I'm doing is for my November reads, I'm going to include it right here because like I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm going to have 2 parts to my November wrap up. The ones that I'm currently reading or that I have read, which is why I said that I want to pat myself in the shoulder, because I am participating in Tome Topple's readathon and I'm not following any of the rules. I'm just reading because I want to read tomes. I can say that I have already read a tome and that I have read a sequel of a tome. So I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I know that I'm just reading tomes because I want to read tomes. The first one that I managed to pick up in audio format is City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I have to admit that I enjoyed this, and it is an improvement, so much more than its predecessor, City of Fallen Angels. This one is where I say that I started loving Clary a lot more, because this might sound weird, but I'm actually enjoying the fact that she says, I should be punished because this is my fault. So she's actually seeing that her actions do have consequences, and she's not throwing temper tantrums, she's not being a little brat, she's not being ignorant. She's actually understanding that her actions do have consequences and do have an aftermath that can be hurtful for her friends. So that's something that I'm quite enjoying from her as a character. I'm also loving Jace, that we have his arrogance again. This is something that I have to say. I love Jace's arrogance. He's one that I will always say through and through that I love his arrogance. I also love when these characters, make me laugh. And also the fact that we have one unchangeable plot line or plot throughout the entire story. I don't care. It's like how they have to get from point A to point A later on within the story, and I'm actually enjoying that because the information, the events, the situations, the details are really interesting, and I'm quite enjoying them. There are some things that have been annoying, especially Alec is just wreaking havoc in his life. I feel for the man. I'm just like, boy, what are you doing? But I'm also like feeling sorry for him. Also, I can say that I did love Luke, but I would expect more from Luke. I'm just like, what? Don't hurt my Luke, man. Even though I know because I have read the series, but this one's one that I really forgot. Also, Jocelyn, I really do love when she becomes protective and shows her mother side towards Clary. That's something that I have to praise. And also the fact that Isabel and Simon, how was it that something developed between them is what I really had forgotten about. Also, I have to admit that there are 2 characters that I really ship. I love that they put aside a lot of things that happened in their past, and they're just living for the moment, and I'm enjoying that a lot. But I don't know if I should continue enjoying it because I do know what happens in City of Heavenly Fire, because one of them dies. So I don't know if I'm just setting myself up for destruction or I'm just living for that destruction. I honestly don't know. But I also love the moment where you get like a little bit of little information of the Infernal Devices, which is one that I really want to read, so I can't wait to get to that one. But overall, this was really entertaining and I enjoyed it. I didn't roll my eyes constantly like I did for Fallen Angel, and this was just, like I said, an improvement. I freaking enjoyed it. I loved it, and there were only little bits and pieces that I can say that I nitpick. So that's why I always say that Fallen Angels shouldn't even have existed. It should have been given the 50 pages that were really important, just woven within this book. I also love how many events took shape. So that's something that I thought that was really interesting, and I can't wait to actually like reread City of Heavenly Fire. Also, I've forgotten that some characters are mentioned here, and I was like, yeah, of course they're gonna ring a bell because they were mentioned here. So I was like, when you forget about things, you become a little bit dumb. And the next trilogy that I started is one that I have noticed that I am completely fangirling over. Also, why are there so many dogs barking? Like, please, chill out, man. Chill out. Mines are like with their ears up, ready to bark. But let me see if I can finish this really quickly. The first one that I started was Illuminate. I already finished this, the audiobook. I also noticed that I've heard the audiobook twice this year, and it's an audiobook that I really do enjoy. I love how these characters are thrusted into a situation and they have to prove themselves better through the situation that they're going through, and also how small the universe really is, and how these characters, through their separation and things that happen in their life, eventually come together. So all the details, all the events, all the situation is just effed up, but I just freaking adore these characters. And also Aiden and Ezra, Katie. I love these characters so much. But Aiden just, oh man, I feel for this insane artificial intelligence. He just has my heart. And on my reread, I noticed that he won my heart, because the first time that I physically read this, I was blown away by this book, because the dossiers, the documentation, the format, the structure, everything was sheer brilliance. Because like it's like you're honestly like reading a movie, so that's something that I have to enjoy. Even the audiobook has the narrations, the special effects, the intonations, the sound effects. It's just incredible to listen to, and you live through that experience. But like Aiden is one that I really did love, and also some side characters that had me like bawling my eyes out, because I was like, man, I feel so much for you, man. So that was really interesting, that on my reread I felt a lot more empathy for these characters, and I'm freaking loving that book. The next one that I picked up and also finished was the audiobook of Gemina, and I also gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This is incredible. Also the fact that we have new characters, and eventually how the characters from Illuminae and Gemina meshed together. That was something that was really interesting, even though it's towards the end of the story. I also I have a thing with the multiverse theory, so I'm really excited that it was obviously included within this book. And like the characters, Hannah, Nick, Ella is my girl. She is my woman. I freaking adore her so much. I love how Ella is a disabled character, and yet, you know, she's a hacker, that she's really strong, but she doesn't let you feel any sort of pity for her. You know, she shows you how much of a badass she is, and she will stand by that, and I freaking adore her so much. Hannah, I loved how, you know, strong and persistent she was. Also, what I have to admit, that the one thing that I really didn't like about the audio was Hannah's narrator, because she is described as being uptight and, you know, bratty and whatnot. And even though that is stereotypical of the voice and then the intonation that she had, like, I physically did not, you know, visualize her like that. Ella, no. Ella, the narrator, was spot on. I loved her. I also have to admit that I don't know if it's because I've already heard the audiobook for Illuminae, but I really did enjoy the audiobook for Illuminae a lot more than this one. But I don't know if it's because of Hannah's narration that took away from my enjoyment, or the fact that Aiden wasn't introduced until basically more towards the end of the story, because again, I love my insane artificial intelligence. You know, there's nothing like a murdering psychopath to get you in feels, you know. But you know, I loved it. I enjoyed it so much. The plot twists and turns that are happening that you're not anticipating is just like, it's mind-blowing. I love these freaking books like so much. And the one that I am currently reading is, okay, yeah, it's this way, is Obsidio. I am freaking obsessed with this right now. I'm just enjoying everything right now. I stopped just to film this, and I was fighting throughout the entire process of me like actually like getting ready, because I was like, I don't want to stop reading. But I am currently on page 284, and I am living for everything in this book. I have to admit that when we have that psychotic sense of Aiden, he does worry me. Like, he does worry me. And oh my god, page 277, he made me cry. Oh my god, literally I cried for an artificial intelligence. That's how much I feel for Aiden. And it's just beautiful. Like, the story, I also love that in this one we have the characters of Illuminae and Gemina, and also the introduction of these new characters, and how was it that they got to the ending of Gemina, which is something that I have to admit that I was just living for, because Gemina ends in a cliffhanger, and I was like, my life is not complete, But I've been putting this book off because I didn't want it to end, but I was like, you know what, let me just sit and read it, because this is a series that I really want to finish by the end of the year, and I know that I'm going to be rereading it through audio format next year, because it is just one of the best experiences to actually delve into these books. And I freaking love it. I can't wait to finish it, to see what else happens. And like, everything is just incredible. And there are some things that I'm like, but weren't you expecting that? There are also some that I really want to smack. Like, oh man. But so far, really good. I'll give you a little bit more update on that in my other November wrap up. But that's it for this video. I seen that it's extended a little bit more than I wanted it to. But if you want to tell me which was your favorite book for the month of October, or for the half month of November, or which has been a surprise read for you, then feel free and we'll chit chat down below. But I want to thank you for watching, and until next time.